Catholic Shrines in New Jersey, Monday Musings. This past week I went on my yearly retreat. Priests have to go on retreat every year for a week, so I went on my retreat, and so because of that I figured that I would talk about some Catholic shrines that are in New Jersey, because I was in a holy place this past week. This past week I went on my yearly retreat. I went to the Hermits of Bethlehem in the heart of the church, which they're in Chester, New Jersey, and I hadn't been there before, so it was my first time. And they actually are hermits, not like a hermit crab. Well, maybe there's some connection there. Hermit is basically, it comes from the Greek word hermus, which means desert or solitary. And basically what a hermit does is they live a solitary life. They dwell basically alone, and they dwell alone in order to pray and meditate. The difference between hermits and monasteries is hermits live much more isolated than do monks. Even though monks and sisters can be contemplative, they still have a lot of community. Hermits typically dwell by themselves for most of the day. There was no communal liturgy of the hours. If you don't know what liturgy of the hours is, I'll explain that some other time. The only time they gather publicly is for the celebration of the Mass. And so what they say, this particular hermitage, is they live in desert-like solitude, and they're nurtured on the bread of the Word, the bread of the Eucharist, in order to become bread for the church and for the world. And so they have a unique mission that they pray for priests, deacons, seminarians, religious, and for the unity and sanctity of family life in union with Mary, the Mother of the Incarnate Word. And so it is kind of a unique place because when you go there, they have a common house, but most of your time is spent in basically a hermitage. You have a small cabin to yourself, and you have everything you need. You stay in that hermitage, and you pray and meditate, in particular on the scriptures. So they do allow visitors to go there for retreats. So if you ever want to go on a retreat, you certainly are welcome to go there. You have to have already made a silent retreat before going there, because the whole time you're there, you are in silence in your hermitage. And so it was certainly a restful week for me. Hermits also, they've been around since the early church, and they typically would, they went into the deserts of Egypt and Palestine, and eventually what happened was the hermits were encouraged to join together into monasteries, and so some, like these hermits in Chester, New Jersey, still choose to not go into monasteries, but to choose this aromatic life of being a hermit. So it does go with the scripture passage from Matthew chapter 6, which says, "When you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will repay you." So some other shrines that are in New Jersey, that's obviously a hermitage, so it's really just a place of solitude and retreat where the hermits live. And there are some other shrines that you can visit in New Jersey. There is the Shrine of St. Joseph, which is in Sterling, New Jersey. I have been there before. Beautiful shrine to St. Joseph, who happens to be my patron. And it was established by Father Thomas Judge, and he was part of a religious community, and then when he founded the shrine, which was in 1924, he also founded the community of the Missionary Servants of the Most Holy Trinity. And so what Father Judge wanted to do is he noticed that there were lots of immigrants coming to this country, and they were coming mainly from Italy and Ireland, and so he wanted to make sure that the laity were still being informed in the faith, so that they could be missionary disciples of Jesus. And so we founded this shrine as a place where you could come and be renewed in the faith by devotion to St. Joseph. And they have devotions that were held to St. Joseph on each Sunday, and that started in 1928, and that's been going uninterrupted since 1928, these Sunday devotions to St. Joseph, until the present day. So it sits on a hill overlooking the Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge. So it is, it is kind of a quiet area. They do have a main church. They also have outdoor devotional shrines. They have the original statue of St. Joseph that has been on the campus since 1924. They have walking stations of the cross. They also uniquely have this Tower of Remembrance Garden, which is a memorial to the tragedy that happened on September 11th, 2001. Of course, because it is a Catholic shrine, they also have a gift store, and then more recently they inaugurated a new pilgrim chapel, which is at the entrance of the Shrine of St. Joseph, and they have this beautiful mosaic of St. Joseph that was created between 1925 and 1927 by a renowned artist called Leopold Forsterer. And it's the main, in this pilgrim chapel, which is outside the church, it is the main centerpiece of this pilgrim chapel is this beautiful mosaic of St. Joseph, which they got there was a St. Joseph Seminary in Callicoon, New Jersey, and that closed, and then this mosaic went to the Franciscans, and eventually it got brought to the shrine of St. Joseph in Sterling, New Jersey. So beautiful shrine, beautiful place to visit. There's also the National Shrine of St. Gerard at St. Lucy Church, and that's in Newark, New Jersey. Apparently, I didn't have a lot of time to look into this, so apparently national shrines, to get that status, it has to be under the Conference of Bishops in a particular country. So any national shrine in America would be under the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, and apparently local shrines would just have to be under the direction of the bishop, if I'm not mistaken on that. So this has been a place of pilgrimage in particular for women who have difficult pregnancies, and St. Gerard was known to many miracles attributed to him, in particular many miracles associated with women who were pregnant, and there was some of this came from this handkerchief story that he had where he was leaving a house, and as he was leaving, a woman said to him, "You forgot your handkerchief." He said, "No, this is for you." And she was eventually having a very difficult pregnancy, and she remembered that she had the handkerchief, and so she took the handkerchief, and immediately the intense labor pain she was having disappeared. So it is it is since 1977 it was designated as a national shrine, and of course because it's a shrine they do have a gift shop. So in particular it is for women who are experiencing difficulties in pregnancy in any way. So it is beautiful. I'm almost positive I was there some time ago. There's also the Shrine of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, which is in Washington, New Jersey. It's sometimes called the Blue Army Shrine. I was there some time ago, and they're basically dedicated to the message of Fatima. So I had another video on the recent movie that was composed about Fatima. So they're owned and operated by the Blue Army USA, which is a worldwide movement which is spreading the message of Fatima, and it was built in 1978, and they have a beautiful, a main church, and they also have a replica of the Holy House. The Holy House is where the Holy Family lived, and that house is in Loreto, Italy, and they have a replica of the Holy House. They're also one of only two places that have a Capellina, which is a replica of the chapel that was built at the site of the apparitions at Fatima. They have a rosary garden, they have outdoor shrines that you can visit, they have a gift shop, of course, so another beautiful place to visit. And there's also the Monastery of Our Lady of the Rosary, which is in Summit, New Jersey, and they're a group of cloistered Dominican sisters, and they actually have possession of a 400-year-old copy, not the original, a 400-year-old copy of the Shroud of Turin. And what makes this copy so unique is it actually came in contact with the actual Shroud of Turin, and after it came in contact, they noticed it was damp and wet, and so they did some testing to see what was why this copy of the Shroud was damp and wet, and they found that scientific testing found that it was actually human blood that was on that particular shroud, that copy of the Shroud that came in contact with the actual Shroud, and they found the blood type was the same blood type that is on the Shroud of Turin. So very unique. So that copy of the Shroud of Turin is actually in their main church, so if you're there you can certainly visit and see that. They have perpetual adoration joined with the rosary constantly being prayed, which they say is the adoring rosary. They have a rosary garden, or obviously rosary sisters, contemplative Dominicans, so you certainly can visit the chapel there because they are a Catholic place. They also have a gift shop. Pilgrimages are always important things to take. We go on a pilgrimage to a holy site, and we usually go if we're asking maybe for some spiritual favor or we're asking to give thanks. We have, customs of going on pilgrimage throughout the church history, in particular to the Holy Land, and in Rome to the place of the bones of Saints Peter and Paul and all the other martyrs in Rome. So, and then we have these more local ones that we can visit in New Jersey. So if you have some time and you're looking to maybe just take a day trip somewhere, maybe consider going on a pilgrimage to some of these holy sites. Just some Monday musings on some shrines in New Jersey. See you soon, St. Catherine's.